Okay, everybody, this is for lesson 8.3. This is going to be on example 2, and if we have enough room in the video, we'll do example 3, or that might be on a different video. We're going to copy and complete the statement using a less than sign or a greater than sign. So we're going to work with numbers 5 and 6 from example 2. These are the triads, and it's -4/7. And we're comparing it to -1/7. I already have my number line. What's the first thing you have to make sure you do is look for common denominators. If they have a common denominator, then you can go right. I don't think I can fit in there. Common denominator. If they have the same common denominator, then you can do your number line right away. If you look at number 6, they do not have a common denominator. So we're going to have to do some side work. All right. So since we have a common denominator, we then are going to be able to put it on the number line, but we have to keep the interval the same. Now, because they're both negatives, we technically only have to do everything on the left-hand side. You do not have to write anything on the right-hand side. If you notice, I have 0 already there, and we're going to make this into 7ths, and I'm going to actually just do it every other. And then this is 6/7, and then I am going to say that this is -1 because that is -7/7. You always go to the whole number so that you finish your 7ths, so you know where your 7ths are. All right, so we have -4/7, and we're going to plot that right here, okay? And it's already labeled, so we don't have to label it. And then we have to plot -1/7, which is here. And since it's not labeled, we're going to label it. So now what you have to look to see is they start with -4/7. So -4/7 is here. And then we want to know, is it the one furthest to the right or furthest to the left? Because remember, if it is the furthest to the right, it is the greatest. Okay? If it's furthest to, did I say left? Furthest to the right, it's the greatest. I'm sorry if I said, I can't remember what I said. Furthest to the left is your least. All right? So -4/7 is the furthest to the left. So that means it is your least. So you're going to come up here and you're going to say it's less than, and then make sure you circle your answer. So this is all your work to help you find out which one is less, which one is greater. For your next one, you have -1 2/3 and -1 5/6. Your denominators are different. So we've done this in previous chapters when we had to find common denominators. So I'm not even going to put my 1s and my -1s in there because we don't need it right now. We just need to find our common denominator. So our common denominator is 6. And this is going to remain 5/6, but I'm going to times this by 2, and I'm going to get 4/6. So underneath it, I'm just going to rewrite it. So -1 2/3 is actually really -1 4/6. And this is going to still be -1 5/6. Okay, so this is a very large number line. So I'm going to make, and they're both negatives, so I'm going to make my 0 here. And I am going to go by 6, and I have to go all the way to -2. So this is going to be -2/6. This is going to be -4/6. And this is going to be -6/6, which is really -1. Then I'm going to keep going because I have to go to -1 4/6. So that means I have to go to -2. So this is -1 2/6. Skip, this is -1 4/6. And then this is -1 6/6, which is really -2. Okay, so let's find them. So -1 2/3 is really -1 4/6. So that's here. And then -1 5/6. So if this is -1 4/6, you have to think out loud a little bit. Is this -1 5/6 or is this -1 5/6? Well, if this is -1 2/6 and this is -1 4/6, that means this is -1 3/6. So that means this is the -1 5/6. All right. So now we have our 2 dots that we're going to compare. So we are starting with -1 2/3, which is -1 4/6. So here's our -1 4/6. Is it furthest to the left or furthest to the right? it's furthest to the right. So that means that this one is your greatest. So you're going to go back up to the original. You're not going to do it with your one that you found the common denominators with. Always go back to your original and circle it, and that's going to be your greater than sign. So negative 1 2/3 is greater than negative 1 5/6. All right, so it looks like we have time on the video. I'm going to do numbers 7 and 8. This time, these rational numbers are not fractions, they're decimals. So you're comparing negative 0 5/10 and positive 3/10. What the biggest thing you have to make sure for these, it doesn't have to do common denominators. It has to have the same place of value. And that's going to help you with this. So here, we're going to make our 0. And then we're going to go by, we'll go by tenths. And then I'll just write and go by evens here. So this is negative 2/10, negative 4/10, negative 6/10. And remember, you always want negative 8/10. And this is negative 1. You always want to go to the whole number so that you have exactly what you're looking for. And then you need to know your whole. And then this is positive 3/10. So this is 2/10, 4/10, 6/10, 8/10. And let's bring this a little bit over. I should be using a ruler. And this is positive 1. Okay, so we are going to now plot. So this is negative 5/10. So you have to be careful here. Here's negative 4/10. Here's negative 2/10. So in between here is negative 3/10. So that means this is your dot for negative 5/10. All right. And then this one, you have to be careful with your negative positives. Always double check because I did it before when I was practicing. And this one was I actually put here by accident, not paying attention. And I realized it's a positive. All right. So positive 3/10 is here. All right. So now we got to look. So here's negative 5/10 and negative 5/10 is here. Is this one the furthest to the left or furthest to the right? It's furthest to the left. So it is less than, and then circle your answer. Okay. So the reason why I always keep on using and saying which one, it's always the one to the left when you're starting your comparing. So whichever one they start with, that's the dot you look at first. And then that's how you compare. So let's look at number 8. And number 8, this one is a good one. It's actually all in the negative 6s, which is great. So on your number line, even though we always say try to go to 0, when it's like this is going to be hard. So you want to actually, if you want to be more exact, you can actually just go and do your, I'll show you. Here's my negative 7. And you actually, I'm going to go by 4. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. And here's my negative 6. And you could go as far as you can. But when I did it, I actually only could get 2, 3, 4 to negative 2, I think. So this is negative 4. If you think you can do this, 3, 4, yeah, negative 2. I was really only able to get to negative 2. You can actually, if you want to, you could even break it up into halves instead of fourths if you want, and just be a little bit more like an estimate. I don't mind. But remember what I said up here is finding the same place value. So before I even plot, I have to write these down and line them up with their place value. And this is going to help me because I'm going to notice that this is missing a place value. And I have to substitute a 0 in there to help me. All right. So now it's going to be a little bit easier for me to look for. So negative and 50 hundredths, which is negative 6.5. So is it here or here? That's where you have to be careful because these are negatives. Well, they can't be here because this is in between negative 5 and negative 6. So this has to be negative 5.5. So here is negative 6 and 50 hundredths. Okay. And then we have negative 6 and 75 hundredths, and that's here. That's negative 6 and 75 hundredths. All right, so now we have to look. They're starting with negative 6 and 5 tenths. And negative 6 and 5 tenths is here. Is it furthest to the left or to right? And it's furthest to the right, so that means it is greater than. So you're going to write greater than, and then you're going to circle it. I hope I was able to help you. Bye, guys. Have a great day.